I ran the largest shop in the world for 5 years, but never had a single customer. However, every day, countless servants would come out with buckets, and when they returned, they would have large amounts of silver. This was the largest water house in the city. My monthly income from selling water was worth 100 taels of silver. But who would have thought that such a wealthy person as myself was a beggar 5 years ago? At the time, I was about to starve to death, and Prince Zhaofeng suddenly found me and wanted my heirloom jade pendant, which was said to contain divine fate. I knew I couldn't keep the treasure, so I proposed to exchange it for wealth and honor. To my surprise, Zhaofeng agreed. After that, I became his servant. I thought I could follow him and enjoy the fruits of his labor until 5 years later. One day, Zhaofeng suddenly asked me a strange question, and when I refused without hesitation when he asked if he could return the jade pendant to me, his servant had to repay his kindness. Last year, I spent 3,000 taels of silver. No matter how much I poured my heart out, I couldn't repay it. Haha, my lord, you are quite carefree. You can spend 0,000 taels of silver in a year. Zhaofeng's laughter instantly made me feel less guilty. I knew I had dodged the bullet today, so I flattered him by saying that his virtue was divine. However, when I saw that Zhaofeng was quite pleased with my word, I couldn't help but laugh inwardly. If it were anyone else, perhaps I would truly be afraid and grateful to him. But as a person who has traveled through time, I ignore feudal etiquette, but people still have to eat, so I can't rebel against authority. However, his next words made my heart skip a beat. The world can be used for immortality and longevity. I have contacted the fairy with Prince Zhaofeng. He originally wanted to meet you, so I pretended to be frightened. As a mere mortal, how could I be favored by a fairy? Your ancestors had divine fate. The fairy should have. I want to confirm it in person. Zhaofeng had the confidence to summon me, and as a slave of his, I dare not resist him. Besides, he has been training me for so long that I suppose I wouldn't dare say no. Half an incense stick later, Yu Hua looked at a mere mortal like me and wondered if it was a good thing to seek my destiny from me. Although it was decided 000 years ago that the descendants of the Bu family were to be his guardian, I was obviously no match for Zhaofeng, who was powerful and influential. The sect would not support him either. Should I prioritize the greater good? Thinking about this, Yu Hua asked, 000 years ago, the ancestors of the Bu family and I had a connection with the Qingjing sect. Would you like to know? My eyes brightened. Please tell me, sir. Yu Hua spoke softly. If the descendant of the Bu family is diligent, bring him into the realm of immortals. Otherwise, give him wealth and honor for the rest of his life. At this point, Zhaofeng interjected. I told him that he voluntarily gave it to me. Emperor Shidegun can testify to that. The words Emperor Shidegun were pronounced with emphasis. Yu Hua frowned slightly. Such matters were beyond her authority. She could only pick up her jade whistle again and murmur. The descendant of the Bu family is unambitious and has become a beggar. He is selling the connection with our ancestors and trading it for his own benefit. She then added, take his immortal fate away and give it to the ninth son of the Zhao family. Zhaofeng listened and laughed. I will obey the imperial edict. I will report to my father emperor and ask for a title for him. That would be fine, Yu Hua thought. But to her surprise, I stood motionless in my place, and the light in my eyes was shattered. But in the end, I only whispered, yes, sir. A hungry person has no chance to escape. The fate of immortality is predestined, but humans also have their own fate. My order's founder was a person who defied fate. He did not need fate to become a god. Zhaofeng revealed a cold smile. How many founders are there in the world? Then he said in a commanding tone, eat this, I will give you a hereditary title. In the end, I was like the one from years ago. I had no choice but to swallow the red pill. At that moment, it seemed as if a thread had snapped in the darkness. Yu Hua fairy returned to her seat and no longer looked stern, and Zhaofeng was very pleased. He immediately promised me a marquisate and a household, 10,000 households. That night, the king's palace held a grand banquet, but I carried a pot of wine and drank myself drunk. I came to the dragon bridge below. The wind by the river woke me up. I smiled at the court officials and bowed low, which was my way of survival. But if I could fight with fire, who would want to kneel? Just as I laughed and poured the wine into the water, the power of the thunder heart was suddenly struck by something. It seemed as if it was trying to break free from the seal and let the fate no longer cover that brilliance. In the next moment, a ray of light entered my mind, and I suddenly awakened the fate of the red dust immortal. As long as I gathered the 1,000-year-old essence of the sky and the earth, I could ascend to heaven. Ha ha ha, I was like a person who had been thirsty for a year. I suddenly plunged my head into the river. To hell with wealth and honor. I want to become a god. The next day I have a cold. It's a good thing that my family is wealthy, so I don't lack money to see a doctor. But even though I am wealthy, I am still just a dog to the Zhao family. This thought suddenly made me clench my fist, and a hot idea flashed through my mind. If I don't want to be the fish on the chopping board, I must grasp the faint glimmer of gold in my mind. I don't know what the Jiji river is yet, but the heavens have shown that I have accumulated 10 years of it. It must be the immortal's elixir. One drop is 10 years. I need 000 such elixirs. But strangely, I have finally found the key to immortality. But I have decided to stay with Zhaofeng. I still choose to flatter him and the immortal because I am just an ordinary person and have no right to seek opportunity. But as long as this humble and obsequious behavior can bring me reward, it is all worth it. Little did I know that my reward was coming soon. At this moment, a dragon bridge ahead was being cleared by armored soldiers. The Jade Beauty was in front of the Gu family mansion, which had an annual expenditure of more than 10,000 taels of silver and was considered to be living in great luxury. The carriage on which Zhaofeng was sitting emphasized my wealth and also emphasized the legitimacy of his own opportunity. The Jade Beauty did not respond. He did not want want to involve himself too much in the dark side of the sect, and just wanted to be at peace with his conscience. He compensated me with his own money and ensured the prosperity of the Gu family descendants. When he entered the Tang dynasty, I was already waiting there. Although my face was pale, I was not submissive or arrogant. I bowed respectfully. Ninth Prince greets Jade Beauty. I was as respectful as ever, which made Zhao Feng's expression soften. It seems that I did not harbor any resentment. The Jade Beauty said that he came today just to see how I was living. I still bowed my head in humility. The Jade Beauties, and he extended his hand to me, saying, I will pass you a set of skills to test the descendants of the Gu family. I quickly thought to myself, if he wants to harm me, there's no need to beat around the bush. I then extended my hand cautiously and gently grasped his fingertips. Yuhua saw my timid behavior and couldn't help but smile. She then reached out and graciously held my hand. In the next instant, a chilling sensation was implanted into the center of my forehead. Images of countless scriptures instantly floated in my mind. I felt dizzy and couldn't make sense of it. When my vision returned, Yuhua had already disappeared. I turned my head to look at the 10 bodyguards behind me and suppressed the dark clouds in my heart. I smiled and asked someone to bring me some silver. Brothers, today I have come to work at the Gu mansion. Of course, we should find a brothel to have a good time and celebrate our arrival. That evening, in the private room at the Longqiang night market, the 10 bodyguards were so drunk that they were carried away by a group of ladies. Only I was left alone, reviewing the situation. Zhao Feng is looking for death. I don't get angry often, but these 10 bodyguards could threaten my life. Zhao Feng underestimated me and overestimated the worthless drunkards under him. Then I closed my eyes to feel the scriptures in my mind. However, my faith suddenly trembled, and the scriptures that were previously incomprehensible suddenly became simple. And the 10 years of Tianji also began to deplete. After a moment, I entered the Yuking Heart method. However, I couldn't feel happy about it because the Tianji was only left for a year. Just entering the method required 9 Tianji, but I didn't know where to get it. Well, let's hurry up and practice it first. The knife is already at my throat, and the situation in Dajing is becoming more and more unstable. There have already been 3 peasant uprisings this year. I must have the ability to survive in the chaotic. I see. I thought the senior was getting old and forgetful, that he had kicked himself in the head, and heard Yu Hua's sarcasm. The donkey stared blankly for a moment, but then he didn't get angry or annoyed, and laughed. Haha. It's easy to get benefits just by moving your lips. Only fools don't want them.